Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this.
Yo, peace and blessings, family. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I think we got like one person in the room. That's a record. Even when I first did a live, we had more than one person in the room. Oh, well, we got 4 now. What up, bro?
It was shalom to the Israelite family out there. What's going on, brother?
Another one. Is the term the second Exodus biblical? I'm going to talk about a post that we ran into today by our brother Dr. Kelly Richardson. I want to go through this post. I want to talk about the term the second Exodus. All right? Because there's some misconceptions concerning whether or not this is biblical or not. You know, to say that the term is not biblical, well, let's just take a look at this. Let's take a look at this. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. We just gonna go down the line and check this out. So the brother Dr. Kelly Richardson says, second Exodus isn't a biblical term. Why are some attempting to press this doctrine on others? All right, so first of all, are we talking about the title, the term second Exodus, or what are we talking about what it actually means? You know? Because if we're talking about an Exodus, we're talking about a mass departure out of captivity, right? And if there's anybody that preaches about a mass departure out of this captivity, according to scripture, that would be correct. So I don't know if he's arguing semantics or if he's arguing the fact that we're supposed to be leaving, right, within this title itself. So just to add some of my understanding, this is what I said. The phrase the second Exodus refers to the last mass departure out of captivity, which is a biblical prophecy, right? Is the phrase second Exodus a biblical term? Meaning, can we find it in the Bible? No. But the concept is most definitely there. The word Exodus means mass departure. There were many mass departures, but none were labeled Exodus, and none rivaled the one out of Egypt. If the next mass departure is to be larger than Egypt's, it could correctly be called the second Exodus in comparison to the first. For example, Isaiah 11:11 says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which should be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. Isaiah 11 and 12. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Now moving into Jeremiah 23 and 3. And I will gather the remnant of my flocks out of all countries whither I have driven them, and I will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Most High. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they should no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all the countries whither I have driven them, and they should dwell in their land. These scriptures that support, these are scriptures that support the second Exodus. So I ended my comment right there. Right? Now, I didn't get any response from the brother Dr. Richardson, but he did respond to Rachel, who also posted Isaiah 11 and 11. And he said, that passage has nothing to do with the so-called second Exodus. What you posted is about the Assyrian captivity and the promise of regathering Israel. Israel began to establish covenant with the Egyptians, and some Israelites out of fear fled, and because of their actions, the Babylonian prophecy was made. And then he goes on to Isaiah 30 in 1 through 3. Now, I responded and I said this. Dr. Kelly Richardson, Isaiah 11:11 cannot be talking about the Assyrian captivity of antiquity, as only the northern kingdom was taken into captivity by the Assyrians in 723 BC, and Judah was not taken into captivity until the Babylonian captivity in 582 BC. The northern kingdom has never returned to Israel even unto this day, while Judah, the southern kingdom, returned to the land in the time of Ezra and Nehemiah after Persian captivity, as well as retook the land from the Greeks after Alexander ruled in the 3rd to 2nd century BC. Isaiah 11 and 12 says Israel and Judah will be gathered, which clearly is not happened yet. So I humbly ask, is Isaiah 11 and 11 talking about the Assyrian captivity? Now, brother Elisha, would you read his response for me and give your input for that?
I'll do that, brother. Now, the brother stated respectfully, you're partially incorrect. Now, he never actually stated what part was correct and what part was incorrect. He goes on to say the Assyrians took the northern kingdom, and because of the upcoming threat, Judah made attempts to circumvent the judgment. Now, we never asked, or Brother Banya never asked, why the northern kingdom was taken into captivity. So to answer a question that wasn't being asked, what was asked to the brother was never answered, according to what Brother Banya stated. He goes on to cite Isaiah 31 through 3, which was to push whatever agenda that the brother actually is seeming to be pushing. He says, "Woe to the rebellious children," in Isaiah 30:1-3. "Saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to and go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion." So he goes on to try to invalidate the argument by stating, "Start with doing your research on the writings of the book of Isaiah, which spans two captivities. Chapters 1-39 covers the Assyrians, and chapters 40-66 cover the period of Babylonian Medes and the Scythians. This is why some believe that there are two authors of this writing." Now, he's going on in his own, he's answering a question that he has within himself, because this is not the topic. This is not the subject. The question that was posed was that if Isaiah 11:11 is not talking about a second Exodus or a second return of both houses of the southern and the northern kingdom, if it's not talking about that, how is it that it's only talking about an Assyrian captivity, seeing as though the northern kingdom or the northern kingdom has never returned to the land? Scroll down, brother. Everybody knows the northern kingdom has not returned to the land since they were taken into captivity by Serenadab in 723 BC or 722. Nevertheless, the term is made up non-biblical term. Now, and this is what he's really arguing against. The brother doesn't agree with the 400-year prophecy. The brother doesn't agree with the second Exodus. So this is really where his answer is coming from. He never answered none of the questions or the stipulations that were put in the first question by Brother Banya. Nevertheless, the term is made up non-biblical term. Again, the prophecy refers to the Israelites being gathered at the conclusion of the Assyrian captivities. The Assyrian captivity was never concluded. Once the northern kingdom was taken by the Assyrians, they never returned. So what conclusion? It says, "There are multiple gatherings the Israelites endured, which Isaiah, Jeremiah, Nehemiah, and the other prophets notes." Nehemiah specifically was in reference to the southern kingdom returning. Him and Ezra moved our people back after the 70 years was accomplished, according to Jeremiah, the 29th chapter. The northern kingdom had nothing to do with those things. The northern kingdom was already alienated from the Commonwealth of Israel at this point.
Yep.
So what the brother is teaching, or what a brother's name, and I want to cast any aspersions against him, he's actually teaching biblical theology according to how the heathen teaches in theological school. The brother is not teaching prophecy according to what the Most High said he would do with both houses of Israel at the culmination of the times.
Yeah. Hold on. So the issue is this. He's not acknowledging that Isaiah 11:11-12 is future prophecy that has not come to pass yet. And that's the issue. He's basically putting forth a straw man argument that had nothing to do with what was posted in Isaiah 11:11. Isaiah 31-3, that's void. That's irrelevant. Whether or not Judah tried to fight against the judgment, that is irrelevant. We're dealing with a time frame of 723 BC, right? When they was carried away. When did they come back? If this wasn't a future prophecy, and if this was a future prophecy, then when it talks about him gathering Israel again the second time, that does validate the term second Exodus. So the term second Exodus, it may not be written in the Bible, but it is most certainly a biblical prophecy. You don't see America written in the Bible, but we understand that things that are written in the Bible, some of those things are referring to this landmass. So to make the argument of whether or not second Exodus is a biblical term, I think that's semantics. I think the real issue is there's a doctrine that Dr. Kelly has a disagreement with. And dare I say, I believe it's the 400-year prophecy. got anything to add on that, brother?
Yeah, I would like to say this, that we call the Exodus out of Egypt is the word Exodus for us coming out of Egypt is a past tense. This is a after the fact word. The Most High, when he said told Moses to go into Egypt, he did not say go Exodus my people. This is Exodus is a term, or Shemuth is a term after the fact, because it can now be called Exodus because that's what we did. If you go into the book of Exodus, brother, if you don't mind, grab up your if you can grab up your eSword and just type in Exodus and see where the Most High told Moses to go Exodus his people. Or
You
did if
won't find
Exodus
you,
or Exodus come up in the book of Genesis as a prophecy that man shall Exodus your people out of Egypt?
you won't find it.
I know, but let's just prove that real quick.
I'm pushing it. It won't come up.
Right, right.
Let me hold on. Let me show you. It's so you're not gonna see that anywhere.
Right, because Exodus is an after the fact.
That's the KJ. Let's get the KJV.
All
right. KJV. Let's see. Nothing.
So, brothers and sisters, and I'm not trying to cast no aspersions on the brother. You know, we don't say bad things about our people, but Exodus is a after the fact term. Most High didn't say go Exodus my people. We left as a mass departure, and it was called a Exodus.
Exactly.
This is a after the fact term. So when people say Exodus is not a biblical word, Exodus was not even applied to the first Exodus. It was an after the fact term, word that was given to us mass departing Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So this argument that the brother has is a straw man's argument to its very core, because he never thought to say to himself, well, then, okay, well, where was the prophecy regarding Moses exiting our people out of Egypt before he actually did it? Where did the Most High tell Moses, hey, go Exodus my people? So it's an after the fact word that was given because we mass departed. The same way the scripture says we will mass depart again.
Mm-hmm.
It is the same way that it happened back then, but it'd be on a greater scale. So what will people call it if we leave again? An Exodus.
In fact, anytime you see people leaving from an area in large numbers, that's what they call it. When migrants was leaving out of Mexico, they were saying that they was making a mass exodus.
Yeah, brother, because brothers be so busy trying to devalue or invalidate a biblical truth, or trying to invalidate other brothers. They never stop to think to themselves, and this is why certain arguments like this just fall on his face. They fall on his face because you're arguing against a word. You're saying that what we're saying a second Exodus is going to happen is non-biblical. So how is it that Moses and them did an Exodus that was never called an Exodus all the way up until they walked out of Egypt? Because Exodus just means mass departure, like you said to the brother. So what is the brother really arguing about? Show me in Genesis where Moses was told to go get Exodus. Show me a prophet that said that you should go in Egypt and Exodus your people. Show me in Exodus where it says that. That's why. So the brother is so busy caught up hating the 400-year prophecy.
You know what? I would rather, instead of saying that, I would rather ask Dr. Kelly what his thoughts are towards the 400-year prophecy. Is it valid? Do you believe it's a false doctrine? Yes or no? That would be a question that I would like to ask him. And after we're done with this, I'm gonna post this this live on there and see if you watch it. A lot of times them brothers don't watch our stuff, because we don't have doctrine degrees and things like that. So, they just look at us as I don't know what they look at us as, but
brother, theological degrees is not valid in this community. It's not valid against, isn't it? If you say you graduated from a theological school, that's not valid in any Israelite camp or Israelite home.
Yeah, you said it right there, Israelite camp. See, but a lot of these brothers that we talking about, brothers like Dr. Kelly, they're not coming from the same background and learning as we are. These brothers are coming from out of the Christian church, and that's why they have these doctrine degrees, and that's why they have these titles like doctor and minister and things like. You don't have any brothers that's out of camps labeling themselves doctors or
Well,
ministers.
brother, you know, you ain't got to pass the bar to get no theological degree or diploma, brother. You
Yeah,
know,
true.
that's straight yellow pages stuff. I'm not to devalue what the brother got, and I don't know what he got that he put a doctor in front of his name. I'm not trying to go there. All I'm saying is that amongst our community of brothers, a person graduating from a theological school would hold no weight amongst our people that keep the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, and believe in biblical prophecy. It wouldn't fit in anywhere. Only place a theological degree fits in is inside a seminary school. The only place where it has merit and credit is when you're making certain historical specific facts. That's where theological school degree or teaching will come in handy. If you wanted to pinpoint certain times in the BCs and ADs, if you wanted to pinpoint certain historical facts, then those things actually have some credibility, some merit, because it's giving you some historical accuracies. But when it comes to biblical prophecy, when it comes to understanding what the Most High is doing with His people, that stuff has no weight amongst our community of people.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I agree.
So, brother, I would say that and if anything came off like, with some fire and vitriol that brothers is we please forgive us. I wouldn't want it to sound like we have any major problem with the brother, but I do feel like in that post the brother didn't address the question. You always, in respect, answer the question that's posed to you. You don't answer how you feel like it and then invalidate the argument by saying, "Hey, go research this." Come on now, like. I know when I'm being punched at, and I know when raindrops hit me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But with that being said, we're going to conclude this live. And if anybody want to check out the post is on Facebook. Let me go back to it real quick. So the post is on Facebook with the brother Dr. Kelly Richardson. Did that 9 hours ago, and she got how many? Let me see how many. I wonder how many comments she actually has. Not a whole lot.
Before we go, brother, is one thing I like to say, that everybody that teaches against the second Exodus or teaches against the 400-year prophecy actually has a different way of teaching the Exodus. They believe that we'll leave in a mass departure. They believe that it's happening soon. They just don't believe the 400-year prophecy, and they don't believe the second Exodus as we stated. But yet they believe in the Exodus. There's not one group out there that does not confirm the second Exodus that we teach and have taught for years, that doesn't have a similar Exodus-like doctrine or teaching of our people leaving. So it begs to wonder, what's really the issue when a person says they don't believe the second Exodus, but yet they believe we will leave here in the mass departure together? If I eliminate the word Exodus and just said mass departure like them at some point in time, it would be no quarrel, because they're saying the same thing we're saying. So what's the underlying issue? Just leave that out there.
I believe the underlying issue is the 400-year prophecy. You a lot of people don't mention it, and the reason why is because when certain points are brought up, are certain things that need to be how can I reconcile, like the time frame of when they spent in Egypt.
Mm.
When those things aren't reconciled, they don't really have a leg to stand on after that. Because if you're saying that it's not valid, you're saying that it must have happened somewhere else. So where did it happen?
Well,
Where did 400 years of affliction happen? It didn't happen in Egypt. There's no way you can convince anybody of that. Either you saying the Most High don't know how to count or something. Cause the math don't add up.
yeah, yo, brother, we spoke about this before, about the main translations used to translate your modern Bibles, even the King James, the Geneva, the Tyndale, all the ones that came out in the early 1400s, 1500s, and so forth and so on. they all used the Septuagint or the Greek Septuagint in their translations. Some of them use parts of the Texas Reciprocus and the Latin Vulgate. What the point is that they use the same translation. So if I was to go back and use the 1611 Septuagint, even the one I have right now, if you go to Exodus 12 and 40, what is it going to say, Brother Bonnie? I mean, what is Exodus 12 and 40 going to say? It's going to tell you that our time in Canaan was half in Canaan and half in Egypt.
Exodus. All right, so let's take a look at it.
Yeah, Exodus 12 and 40. Look it up in the Septuagint.
This is the KJV, just to get a comparison. Now, the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. Now, let's take a look at the Septuagint. All right, so in the Britain Septuagint, and it says, in the sojourning of the children, let me enlarge that too. So it says, Exodus 12 and 40, so the sojourning of the children of Israel while they sojourned in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan was 430 years.
Yo, brother, so if brothers is reading what would be considered the genuine article, you would just to grab up the one you would say would be the one the other scriptures based off of in large part. And you go to Exodus 12 and 40. I don't care what camp, what group you in, you're going to see that it's disseminated in Exodus 12 and 40 that the sojournings was what, brother? You want to read that again?
And the sojourning of the children of Israel while they sojourned in the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan was 430 years.
So what are we talking about? Like, what is brothers that go on to say that Egypt was 400 years talking about? What are we talking about here when the Bible that we all teach out of and study says that the sojournings in Canaan and Egypt was 430 years?
Well, that's the issue, because you can't reconcile 400 years of affliction in Egypt. You can't do it. So opposed to taking that route of dealing directly with this scripture, now you got people going into, the word second Exodus isn't biblical. You got people going into semantics like that.
Hey, well, brother,
if the second Exodus and the 400-year prophecy are directly tied together.
Because, brother, if you got brothers, and then it's not that we're the first one reading this. I guarantee you brothers have read this. I guarantee you brothers have read that. And let me tell you something. If you come away from reading that and you say, you know what, if the reality don't set in that we wasn't in Egypt for 400 years and you still dispute this 400-year captivity, even though spiritually every nation on the earth, you can go in China and say how long black people been in America. They're going to say 400 years. You can go to India. You can go somewhere in the Congo and ask them how long black people been in America. 400 years. So if the spirit bear witness to the full corner of we've been here 400 years, and there is no book out there that can prove that Egypt was the 400 years, but in the contrary, what are we talking about? What is the real issue? Because that would leave void a 400-year prophecy. If Egypt is not the 400 years, that would leave void of 400 years of captivity that nobody's talking about.
Here's another issue. This is what a lot of people do too. They go to Acts and they say, okay, Acts fulfills it. And then they start to read Acts and they say, then sent Joseph and called his father Jacob to him and all his kindred 75 souls. So Jacob went down into Egypt and died. He and our fathers, right? He and our fathers, right? So that means from whoever perspective this is being written, it's saying that all the fathers, all that generation died. And it says, and were carried over into Shechem and laid in the sepulchre that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Emor, the father of Shechem. But when the time of the promise drew nigh, which God had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt. And people would stop right there and say, see the promise. That's the promise right there. That's the 400 years complete. No. Read further. Because it goes on and it says, till another king arose, which knew not Joseph. So now we talking about this right here. This is not talking about the affliction happening. This right here is the beginning. till another king arose, which knew not Joseph. The same dealt subtly with our kindred, and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children to the end they might not live. Now, here's the hitter right here. In which time Moses was born, and was exceedingly fair and nourished up in his father's house 3 months. So this tells you that at the time that the affliction started was in the same time frame when Moses was born. So how could there be 400 years of affliction when it happened when Moses was born, and Moses was the Most High used Moses to carry the children of Israel out of Egypt at the age of 80.
Brother, we showed that in the chronology, brother.
Exactly. So how could it,
Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
So I mean, these are things that people can't reconcile. So now we got people going to semantics like the second Exodus is not biblical. The term. Saying why people putting this doctrine on people. What is the doctrine of the second Exodus? What is that? Do you believe that we support this is going to be a mass departure out of captivity? What does salvation look like for Israel in the last days, according to your understanding?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but hey, brother, the same issue going to keep arising on the same topic, because I think brothers is battling just to battle. I don't think it's no validity to it. Some of these brothers, they read Josephus, they read Jasher, they read all these books, brother. They can do biblical timelines, and I think they have. If you can see with your own calculations and see what the Bible say amongst the historians, and you still come away still trying to push Egypt was the 400 years, even the Caucasoids can't even prove that stuff archaeologically. They still all over the place when it comes to the Exodus. Still talking about Ramsey. Then you got some talking about 1491 or 14 something BC. What's the documentary that was on Netflix? Patterns of Evidence. If I was anybody, I would go check out that documentary called Patterns of Evidence on Netflix. Check that out. Patterns of Evidence. And in that documentary, the archaeologist in there clearly shows that there was no Exodus in the time of Ramses. But in 200 years prior to that, around the time the Exodus really would have been, he says that I can't remember the name. I haven't seen it in a while. But if y'all can, go to Netflix and check out Patterns of Evidence. It's the best. Exodus is the best documentary I've seen on the Exodus and the historical data and the historical artifacts that was found. Really check that out. A good documentary on that.
Well, with that being said, man, we gotta cut out because I gotta get back to work. But with that being said, this has been your brother Bunya and your brother Elisha with another quick hitter. This has been Salt of the Earth Productions. Walk in faith, walk in grace, and walk in obedience, Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.